Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting was forwarded to the official township newspapers, posted on the bulletin board of the township website on November 3rd, 2022. This meeting is being videotaped and will be on Channel 9.
Roll call.
Mr. Doyle?
Here.
Mrs. Blaine?
Here.
Mr. Marsh?
Here.
Mayor Bruno?
Here. We'll start off with Resolution 159-23, appointing Matthew Cesare to the position of Chief of Police in the Township of Franklin.
Make a motion for R 159-23.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Blaine?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Bruno?
Yes. Mr. Chairman, would you please?
A little biography on Matt before we do the formal ceremony. Matt was born and raised in Franklin Township by his parents, Dana and Laura. He graduated from Delsey High School in 1998 and York College of Pennsylvania in 2002. Matt was hired by the Franklin Township Police Department in 2003, where he attended the Gloucester County Police Academy SLEO Class 16. During his time in the Academy, he was awarded the Director's Award for the #1 overall recruit. Matt began his career with Franklin Township as a Class 2 in May of 2004 and was later hired full-time on October 1st of 2004. He was named the 2006 Franklin Township Police Officer of the Year. Matt was assigned to Detective Bureau in 2011, where he worked several high-profile cases. His most memorable achievement as a detective was being the lead investigator for the homicide of a township resident on Main Road in 2011. Detectives worked the case for 3 straight days and were able to charge 4 individuals for the death of the resident, 2 of which are currently serving 25-year prison terms. Matt was promoted to sergeant in 2013, where he was supervisor of Squad A. He was then promoted to lieutenant in 2016 and was named the commander of the Detective Bureau and Professional Standards Division. Matt was promoted to deputy chief in May of 2022 and has been the officer in charge of the department since then. In his spare time, Matt enjoys spending time with family and coaching baseball. He is currently the head coach of 2 travel baseball teams and is the president of Franklin Township Little League. Matt resides in Franklin Township with his wife Nina and his children Matthew, Dominic, and Anna. Senator Testa?
Absolutely. Just let this out of the way. Come on over this way, Dean. Or you should. He's ready for this. You see that? I didn't have to give him any directions. I didn't have to give him any directions. And just so briefly, I think I saw you when you were a rookie officer, and here I was a defense attorney sitting in these few front rows here as an attorney, and look how much we've both changed. He's becoming chief of police, and I'm a state senator. It's a good thing, isn't it? So now, if you could raise your right hand, this is beautiful. You have a beautiful family. So, I, Matthew DeCesare,
I, Matthew DeCesare,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully, impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
all the duties
of police chief
of police chief
for the Franklin Township Police Department
for the Franklin Township Police Department
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Chief. And to Mom and Dad, you must be so proud. A lifelong Franklin Township resident becomes the chief of police. Congratulations. That's what this is all about. That's I'm that way with Vineland. I'm a lifelong Vinelander, so I get it. It's wonderful to see someone come home and do great things. So I think you deserve to have to give a speech now, so I'm going to get out of your way. You have to sign, so I want to make sure, make it official.
Thank you. On Friday, May 6th, 1995, I was laying on my couch at my parents' house, and the phone rang just before midnight. My dad, who was and still is fire chief at the time, answered the phone. The phone call was from Tom Colburn Sr., and what I heard next affected me forever. My dad got off of the phone and said, "One of our cops was just shot," and then he sped out the door. In the following days and weeks, I witnessed the outpouring of support that our community received from all over the county, state, and region. I witnessed the officers that lost a hero colleague wear their uniform with pride, commitment, and honor. It was in that moment that I too knew that I wanted to one day wear the patch of a Franklin Township police officer. On May 24th, 2004 at 5 a.m., my vision came true. My alarm went off for my first day of work as a Franklin Township police officer. It was Memorial Day, and I knew that I needed to look sharp because I would be working the annual Memorial Day parade. This was the first time I had actually ever worn the full uniform: vest, belt, gun, baton. The day before the Memorial Day barbecue, my cousin Anthony Tonelli, who was a lieutenant in the New Jersey State Police, made me polish all of my leather gear. I was excited. I was ready for this moment. However, my vision was delayed a little because I couldn't get the keepers on my belt buckled, and my mom and dad had to get out of bed to help me get dressed. Now, as that may be a little embarrassing, it also paints a picture. The picture that it paints is that whether it's your first day or your last, to be successful, you can't do it alone. And as I stand here in front of this audience at the pinnacle of my career, my message to all of you is that I couldn't do it without you. I wanted to first and foremost thank my family, my wife Nina, my sons Matthew and Dominic, and my daughter Anna. This is certainly as big a night for you as it is for me, and I thank you for putting up with me. I know it is not easy. Unfortunately, Dominic could not make it tonight. He is playing in a sectional all-star game in aerial. Both of our all-star teams won districts, and we are in sections right now, so that is something our town should be very proud of. I want to thank my parents for instilling in me the value of hard work, determination, and volunteerism. My family has always volunteered in this community, and it's something that we are proud of and hold dear to our hearts. I want to thank my sister Julie, my in-laws Maria and Carmen, and the rest of my family that came out tonight to share this night with us. I want to thank some of my lifelong friends that are sharing this moment with me. You know who you are. And this night would not be the same without you being here. I want to thank my friends in law enforcement that I've made over the years. We have grown together. We have certainly complained together. We have flourished together, and I am proud to work beside many of you. I want to thank Mayor Bruno, Deputy Mayor Flame, Committeeman Doyle, Committeeman Marsh, and Committeeman Keene for all of their support. It is a big responsibility they have trusted me with, and my daily goal is to make sure I am living up to what you expected when you made the decision to name me the leader of this department. I have and always will work my hardest to make sure we are providing the best police services possible to the residents that we serve. I also want to personally acknowledge and thank Mr. Finley for guiding me in the right direction over the past year. Mr. Finley works tirelessly for the residents and all of his employees, and I couldn't do this without him. This journey has not been easy. It has caused many sleepless nights, long telephone calls, and tough decisions that needed to be made. However, it is all worth it to be able to wear this patch, to put on this uniform, and to serve beside the greatest police department in the state of New Jersey. I cannot thank my command staff enough for their support. Captain Gordon Muller, and Lieutenant Jeff McGuigan have been the leaders of this department that it desperately needed. They are a huge part of the success that this department is experiencing, and I could not be successful without their contributions and leadership. To our sergeants, Anthony Rojas, Andrew Myers, Nick Pasculi, Joe Murray, and Steve Casamasima, I demand excellence from them because I know they are excellent. Yes, I am hard on them. Yes, I have to have tough conversations with them, but they know why. They know how good they are, and that I believe in them to carry on the mission of what we are trying to accomplish. To the rest of the men and women of the Franklin Township Police Department, you are the best. Every single one of you has my utmost respect and admiration. I support everything that you do. It is not easy to be a police officer today, but you're proving that being trained, being professional, being determined, and being a team has led us to the top of the mountain. We still have work to do. This journey is not over, and in fact, it has just begun. We are committed to this community and the residents we serve, and I am humbly honored and privileged to serve beside you as the 11th Chief of Police in the history of the Franklin Township Police Department. Thank you.
We're going to take a 10-minute break. Senator Testa, thank you.
Always a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to take a 10-minute break, get some pictures and all, and then we'll restart. Thank you. Barb?
Yes.
All right. Making a motion to open the public hearing on 0923, ordinance by the Franklin Township Committee amending the Franklin Township Code of Ordinances to Chapter 226, Section 118, to adopt a new Chapter 226, Section 101 to 1,1.6, to adopt flood hazard management maps, to designate a floodplain administrator, and providing for severability and appointing.
Make a motion for 0923.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public portion for 0923 is open. Making a motion to close the public hearing on 0923.
Motion closed.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Making a motion to approve adopt 0923.
Make a motion to adopt ordinance 0923.
Second.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Bruno?
Yes. Making a motion to open the first public portion for resolutions and ordinances below.
Make a motion to open the first public portion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hello, everybody. Dave Marshall, 67 New Road, Malaga. Just a couple, and they may not be able to answer this way, but I got a couple budget questions I'd like to bring up. Sheet 12, there's a couple different spots that aren't itemized through the budget, and some of them are. But on sheet 12, and this is not to pick on anybody in particular, but the township clerk and administrative positions just both show the salaries, which are fine, and then the other expenses. But why are some in the budget listed as itemized and some aren't? Like, there's nothing else listed under there. It just says other expenses with a line item and a dollar amount.
That's all the state requires. It's the salary and wage line and the other expense line.
All right, so why is there itemized ones in other areas of the report then?
It depends on what the state asks for in the budget document. There shouldn't be, most budget lines are just salary and wage and other expenses. Excuse me. If you could tell me which one you're referring to, I can probably.
Well, the first one was for like I said, the township clerk and administrator. And like I said, I'm not picking on either one that's here, but it just, the other expenses are pretty substantial. So I'm just curious, what is that? I mean, just give me an overview. Is that? No.
Well, say
Cell
for
phone,
for
clean
the
linens,
clerk-
I mean-
For the clerk, there are document fees, there's election fees, there's all different kinds of things that are under the clerk.
Okay,
Postage, each department has postage lines. We break it down farther on our system,
right.
our financial system, but the budget only requires the lump sum.
So if you wanted to find out what those other ones were, we have to ask for it, I guess, through an Oprah or something that way, because that should be public information.
Yeah.
Okay.
For now.
I was just trying to stop doing that if they could be answered tonight. I mean, because I know it's tough to find the time for all the Oprah requests that sure come in.
No, but
So-
we can print out a budget status which shows how everything is broken down under each department.
Okay. All right, but fair to ask. On sheet 13, it talks about under the legal side, it has legal services. What does that include? Is that legal service just for paying solicitors for meetings? I mean, just, again, I guess I'm going to have to ask for specific things for breakdowns, but
That's all legal services.
Just-
There is only one line under.
yeah, that one only has one, so.
There is, but it's, well, any different attorney that we hire for the township.
Okay, does that cover, like, obviously here also, if they have to go in court, lawsuits against the township, that covers everything?
So
All
that
right.
would be Mr. Lyons, the planning board, the zoning board, any labor attorneys, anyone who we have to hire as outside counsel for lawsuits, all of that is all encompassed under one legal service.
Okay, so again, to find breakdowns, I'd have to ask specifically.
Correct.
All right. The sheet 14, where it shows the employee group healthcare, and I know how sickening healthcare costs are. Does that include just employees here in the buildings, or does that include also the DPW, that all, what is, because it looks like they have a separate line item under theirs for healthcare, under the DPW, so I thought that would be excluded from this. Maybe I misunderstood it, but it looked like there was a separate item there for,
No, they don't. All
okay,
healthcare-
that's every township employee. All right, how many employees do we have? Curious. I know the police are separate from this because I saw theirs, but,
So there's 38 police officers, and then other township employees, I believe, are probably close.
We have an estimate
Yeah,
of 102.
Total of 102, so
Okay.
38 of them are police, and the rest are.
or township based, okay, I'm just curious. On sheet 28, it talks about maintenance on the library, which right now, as of the last year's cost, it's costing us just shy of $41,000 a month to maintain that property. Why? I mean, what it is doing is, the grounds aren't kept great, they're okay, but I'm just curious, where does the 41,000 come in? Because I'd like to have that spot if that's what we're getting paid a month. I could do that in my spare time.
So that's everything. That's utilities, that's gas, electric.
Okay.
They're electric.
It's not just maintenance, the way it's worded.
No, that's,
You're right.
that's all their utilities.
Okay.
That's, their, the maintenance of the air conditioners, the roof, all of it. And that, it's.
Well, that makes more sense then. It just, that line item was very misleading from what it stated, so.
It's a very, it is a very tedious undertaking.
Right.
That's part of, you'll see tonight, there's capital budget, because we have to
Right.
replace the entire.
Right, no, I understand. I've been here for hearing about that.
Yep.
And this is not to pick on DPW. I know you do a great job. It's not you specifically. I just have some question about some of the vehicles. One, why are we on a cycle where we'd have to get 6 vehicles at a time? I'm just looking at other townships. Most of the time they roll out 1 or 2, every other year just to keep costs down.
Well, that's normally what would happen, but that hasn't happened here in years.
Okay,
so-
because right now as you know, the auto industry is at the highest point it's been in the last 15 years for expenses. So it's the worst time to be buying vehicles right now because of cost.
State contract are still pretty good. If
Okay.
you go under one like you'll see with the Sourcewell stuff, those are actually, if you could buy an SUV for that price as a
Right.
consumer, you'd be buying it up in a heartbeat, but you can't. So
Right.
it's-
I was looking more like the roll-off truck because this is what I do. This is my wheelhouse. I found 10 of them today that are almost $100,000 less than what we're putting in the budget for. But it doesn't specify exactly what that truck is either. So that's why,
That's used, or is that brand new?
no, brand new, 2023 models.
So it depends on where they're getting them, what they're equipped with.
Well, and that's it, because the line item doesn't give us any of that to know what you're actually, putting the bid out for.
And once that's approved, we have to go out. We went with a high estimate just because if we didn't and we found that it was more than that, we wouldn't be able to purchase it. So we went high. We can always go below that. But the township thought is to save money in the long run.
Oh, of course.
Because we're paying every month for someone to come take the dumpsters. Where with our roll-off container at the compost facility, we can have one of the DPW guys who have their CDL take them and
Right.
dump them.
Well, I'm all for saving the township money. I'm not
Yeah.
opposed to that.
So the capital budget is high estimates based on, because we can't really go over it.
right.
You have to stay under that. So we went with, the top number we could find, and then we can only go below it.
All right. All right, and like I said, most of the other questions are based upon ones I'm gonna have to put in a request for, because I'm not gonna tie you up your time for items that'll, I can read this the same as what you're telling me, so. But I appreciate it, thank you. Thank you.
I might as well do it now, Jake. Harry Kennedy, 1578 Fries Mill Road.
You're gonna fall out of the chair.
Not at all. I surprisingly, I don't really want to discuss the budget. I'm sure you'll discuss it amongst yourselves, take into consideration the tax rate increase and all the other factors involved. My favorite of all times, Jake, was 01123. Thanks, Barb. 01123. The tree removal replacement. I especially liked, I thought it was ironic, Jake, that you would be the tree designee to decide trees of distinction in the township. I could hardly wait to see some former Christmas trees distinguished by you and not being able to be removed. But again, the last time I checked, I mean, I could be wrong, but this was a 5-0 Republican Township Committee.
This is not us, Harry.
But it's not mandated, Jake. It's not.
Well,
I mean, Jake, if it's a mandate, that's one thing. And
I hear what you're saying.
Right.
This is just an introduction.
Okay,
What
and
happens next?
fine. And again, but you and I have had that discussion about what happens next month before. But I can remember all the way back to the deputy chief, which at that time was not discussed by me, but by others as to whether it would ever, come to fruition when you created that position. But in reality, gentlemen, ladies, it seems somewhat disingenuous. It truly does. You can be a farmer like Mr. Doyle is, and you can take down any tree that you want to, as your right to farm, and there's no charge for taking down the tree. You can have a special solar ordinance passed and have a highway commercial zone, and you can take down any tree you want without any charge. But if you have some dead and dying trees on your lawn, you're going to be paying a fee? Come on. That is one of the most ridiculous ordinances, and I honestly believe that all of you up there have much too much sense to allow that to come to fruition. I'm putting my faith in you. It's something that's not necessary in a 55 square mile township. And besides that, just think of all the ways, you can get around the marijuana farming ordinance by declaring yourself a farm and the right to farm, and you have the right to grow marijuana. Somebody would declare their yard a farm, Jake, and take down the tree and plant 3 years of corn. I mean, there'd be a million ways to play with it and then try to enforce it and deal with it and the whole thing. I would just suggest, again, that it's a great idea that came from the state. We know how many great ideas come from Trenton, and that's one that maybe we can just move on from very quickly. Thank you for your time.
Hi, Barbara Halpern, Harding Highway. How you guys doing? Good. I had a question about the redevelopment agreement with Stanker and Galetto. What are we getting in return for this agreement?
The contractual amount was what? Original agreement?
1.45 million.
Okay, so we'll be able to pay off that debt with that money?
I asked you this before.
Yes, we will speak to the auditors and how they want us to put the money in once we get it, to be able to pay for debt that we have.
Okay, and then we'll be done with that property. We won't have any more responsibility?
Grass anymore.
Okay, cool. That's a good thing. At least we're gonna be able to pay off half of the taxpayers' monies, because it was a $3 million project and we borrowed half, so we'll get close to that, and we've probably been paying on it all this time. The other things I wanted to talk about, and I really didn't want to talk about this, but Harry brought it up. I believe that the tree removal replacement ordinance is required under the new stormwater rules, and it only applies to street trees. It doesn't apply to trees in your yard. I think you're going to need to reread that, Mr. Kennedy. It's not what you think it is. So I don't think you have a choice, and I think we have to adopt it under the state mandate for that rule. As far as the bond ordinance, you're borrowing money. When I read it, it said that, you won't be approving it until next month. That would be the 8th. Then it takes 20 days to even go into effect. So the library is not going to get air conditioning until September. I see from Heather's face that was a yes. That's unfortunate because I wouldn't want to have to work in that
No,
condition.
it's back up.
It is working?
Amending already came out and repaired it.
Okay,
We're band-aiding it together as we go, but the companies we had out already looking at it when we did this capital ordinance
Right.
are in the $200,000 to $300,000 range.
right,
They have an idea of what they have to do. We have to do the capital ordinance, then actually put it out to bid. But we've been band-aiding it back together as it goes down. So it went
Good.
down yesterday and they fixed it this morning.
okay, that's good to know. I haven't been to the library since it broke. The other thing I wanted to talk about was Lacey Ray Drive.
Yep.
Okay, I'm assuming that the engineer has come up with a plan for Lacey Ray because I saw in the paper you're soliciting bids already
Yes.
for Lacey Ray. I looked it up on the soils map. That basin is located in an area with an 18 to 42 inch seasonal high water table. There's wetlands, probably within 150 feet of your job. Have you spoken to the DEP and,
Oh, we haven't been able to do anything without them, right?
The DEP has been involved.
Okay.
They
They
that's
actually approved the design.
okay.
that's what's taking so long.
Is it going to be, it said basin, is it going to be like a created wetlands or something that addresses this high water table?
It's a total redo of that whole basin that was done incorrectly.
It's a redo with, there's going to be an overflow mirror towards the creek.
Uh-huh.
Keep the water away from.
Okay, so there was no
properties that are
outlet,
affected. Huh?
so there was no outlet before?
There's no outlet, no.
Okay.
It's an overflow water.
Okay, and it'll, I guess,
So that
We would
leaves the sediment.
continuously pump that out.
okay, so it would be,
Sediment in the bottom of the basin.
right,
And just overflows clean water.
This is the first of several, as Mr. Marshall can attest to. Nichols Drive is the same way. We have
Right.
another one on Sunny Hill.
yes,
They all were improperly done years ago and no one checked on them, and now
Right.
we're gonna go through the process with each one, but it's very, very expensive
Right.
because it's all on us.
right. And yeah, I think there's also one on Central Avenue that doesn't drain either, and that's a fairly
Is
new
it 30?
neighborhood.
We have north of.
Yeah.
Yeah, north of 30.
I think it's close to
44.
My only comment is that you need to get the engineer on the boards, whoever they are, to really do a better job at review of the stormwater plans, because I constantly look at them and see that they lack, some of them even lack soil work, and they get approved at the board. So, we're not approving what we should be approving under our MS4 permit with the state. It should be a complete design, it should be a design in compliance, or it shouldn't be approved. And I've testified more than I have fingers on my hands that a basin isn't in compliance, that they need to get that in compliance and not to approve it until they do. It's ignored every time. And now we have all this financial responsibility for basins, and we're going to keep having more basins that we're responsible for until we tell our engineers to do their due diligence and get these correct.
They are aware because we've been notified by the state. So we have, CME and I are both on it, and
Good.
I've also talked to the NASA firm. So there's changes that have to come, and they all started July 1st.
Okay, good, because I really would love to not have to go to all these meetings and tell them what's wrong under the non-compliance of the state rule.
Which way these two ordinances come from also, it's on that sheet, so.
The stormwater, the new updated stormwater.
Yep.
Okay, because that's an area of my expertise, is stormwater, septic, soil, site evaluation. So unfortunately, I don't get listened to when I go before the boards. And this is what results, is a big bill on our part, but thank you.
Good evening, Nancy Kennedy, 711 St. George Street. I just had a question. I see that we're appointing a public defender, and if I read it correctly online, it's Brian Cargman, who I think is a phenomenal attorney. But didn't we appoint a public defender at the beginning of the year?
Yeah,
He resigned.
He resigned. Okay. And where did we advertise for the opening of the position?
Where do we advertise for the public defender?
We did it on the website and I believe in the South Jersey Times, but on the website.
It was on the Franklin Township website. Okay. And I also saw that we're hiring a new police clerk, and I am very sad to see that Ms. Romeo is leaving. I know that she was here a long time and she did an exceptional job. Are there only 2 police clerks now?
As of right now, yes.
The one girl is collecting money, correct?
Well, Miss Delaney, so we had one retire, which we hired a part-time for. Then Miss Romeo, since last meeting, we hired her part-time, also retired. So that's why we're waiving Miss Delaney up to full-time. And we're going to talk about possibly putting someone else in there, at a future meeting and doing an advertisement. But right now, we're still open, yes.
Okay, and I would just say that apparently it was necessary to have another day of court and to increase the salary dramatically of the professionals. So I would say if that's the case, there are a lot of tickets being written, and probably it would be very fair to make sure that there's enough coverage in that office. And I'm sure you'll all take that into consideration going forward. And the only other question I had was, in looking at the budget, so there will be an increase. Taxes are going to go up this year if the budget passes? Okay, and how much is it going to go up? How much are the taxes going to go up?
For the average household,
Yes.
it would be approximately $50.
About $50, okay. And do you know off the top of your head, how much did taxes go up last year? And I'm so sorry, I don't even know if you were the CFO last year. I've been out of touch in that
I
department.
did start last year.
There you go.
I probably don't have that what it went up last year on here, but I don't know off the top of my head, but I can find out for you.
I think it was 2 cents.
2 cents last year? And it's 2 cents this year also?
No, it's a little over 3.
A little over 3. Okay, thanks, Jake. And so, real quick, because somebody brought up legal fees, how much did we allot in that category this year? I'm not sure if the Township Committee is aware as a group. I did sue the township, and I felt terrible in doing that. I tried very hard to avoid it.
Yeah, $280,000 we put in this year's budget.
We should probably add to that. But I did have an Oprah lawsuit because documents were being withheld, and the judge actually said some wonderful things on the record about how it was clear that documents had intentionally been kept from me because of who I am. And that's very disappointing. It's especially disappointing when you take into consideration the fact that the charge that the township was seeking for me to pay was $900, and by my calculations, the taxpayers, so that those documents about the Roan properties weren't released, will end up spending probably in excess of $10,000. And as a taxpayer, that is extremely disappointing, and I would urge whoever was in charge of that decision to make better ones going forward, and to put ego aside, to actually be transparent, to be willing to share information with residents, and not to be petty, because at the end of the day, me and all the other taxpayers are the ones paying the bill for those of you who fail to do your job. Thank you.
Can I get a motion to close the first public portion?
Motion to close.
All in favor? Aye. Motion to approve correspondence and reports.
Move to approve correspondence and reports.
All in favor? Aye. Motion to approve the minutes from June 13th, 2023.
Motion to approve the minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the bill list.
Any motion to approve the bill list?
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Flame?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Bruno?
Yes. The motion to approve the solicitor's license.
Make a motion to approve the solicitor's license.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve raffle licenses.
Motion to approve the raffle license for Lucky Falls. I just started to say,
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution. We can go?
Yep.
You have to leave?
Time to go. Meeting's done.
Resolution R-150, 23, read budget by title.
Motion R-150-23.
Mr. Doyle? Yes. Mrs. Flame?
yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Bruno?
Yes. Motion to open the public hearing on resolution 151-23, do the public hearing on the 2023 Franklin Township budget. Make a motion. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone from the public wishing to let the record?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Jason Brand, 688 Rosemont Avenue. I just had a question in regards to something that was just previously said about the Meredith Farm sale. Did I understand correctly that the proceeds from that sale will be paid directly on the bond that was taken as part of that?
When I inquired before, I was under understanding that you couldn't pay that bond off. You just have to continue to make payments.
Right, there is a payment schedule, but I believe we can hold the money in our account to make those bond payments.
So the bond has
They're reserved.
a prepayment penalty, is that what you're saying?
You can't pay bonds off ahead of time. They are over several different years. These were probably, I guess, 20 to 30 years. And we have to make the payments because the interest goes to different bondholders. So they're anticipating that money, we'll have to pay them over time.
So
But
our
the
plan-
proceeds of the sale,
So, right, the proceeds from the sale, our plan is to ask the auditor if we can hold in a special account and just make the payments from there, since we can't technically pay it off early with the sale.
Because the bond also encompasses other things, not just Meredith Farms.
We did other stuff.
They did.
Right,
They didn't do it just for
Different
Meredith
projects
Farms.
in that bond.
Right. But what you're saying is there's a prepayment penalty to pay. I mean, if someone owed me money and if they wanted to pay me in advance, like I would never turn that down. So that's what.
I don't believe you can prepay a bond off, especially like I said,
You're making interest.
there's other things in that. Not all of the Meredith Farms money
Right.
can pay off for other debts.
Okay, but the money that's collected is going to go 100% for paying off that portion of the bond. What is the additional money going to be allocated towards that's already been paid down?
Let's find out if there is additional. We don't know.
Well, we've been paying the bond for 10 years, so assumingly the principal is less, or 14 years now, than what it was when we initially.
we're on,
Right. So, yeah.
where you got.
But you're not making that commitment right now, is what you're saying. Right.
It's hard to predict now. That can take what you say factual. Obviously, 10 years ago, they now. I didn't know that's not.
Well, I get the point of my question is you're not going to keep the bond open, take the money and spend it on trash trucks or something else. Yeah, you can make that commitment, right? Right. Okay, that was my only question. Thank you. If there's leftover money, if it goes into tax relief, that I appreciate that as a taxpayer. Thank you.
Hi. I was wondering what the budget is for the Environmental Commission. So I can let John know.
This is 500,000.
550.
What? 550.
550? Well, what if they need if they find someone to hire to do their minutes, like it's been discussed?
We've talked about that with the girls that are working right now, so they're contemplating it, just.
You'd increase it?
Salary.
Plus, we're halfway through the year, right? So
Okay, so you would,
the other line item used to be 1,000.
so it's adjustable if it so happens that way. My other question is probably for the CFO. I saw in the newspaper that there was a breakdown of things about the budget. It was a legal ad. And it said that our debt is almost $7 million and our budget is a little over $16 million. We're obviously going to be adding to that debt this evening. Now, what is the maximum amount that a town can borrow? Is there any?
Yes, when we go to borrow money, we can only go up to 3.5%. They use it at your equalized valuation ratio over 3 years, and you can only borrow up to 3.5% of that.
Right, but I mean, when
Total, like your total debt can
that's
only
for
be
that particular bond.
No, that's your total debt. We do an annual debt statement every year. We have to show the state what our total debt is. And every time we go to borrow more money, we have to do a supplemental debt statement that shows that we're still under where we can be.
Because it seems like a huge percent when you look at a debt that's going to be close to 8 million and our budget is 16.
It doesn't have anything to do with the budget, it has to do with your assessed value of your town.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering how it works. So we have leeway to borrow more money than we already have borrowed and even more than we're borrowing this evening?
Yes, that's all.
Okay, yeah, because you're the only one that knows how these things work. I also had a question. Since we're approaching a time where eventually we'll have to go to electric with vehicles, because they're going to stop making vehicles, gas-powered vehicles in the near future, what is the town doing as far as with the budget or with the infrastructure and plans to prepare us for that so that we can start saving money because the price of gas ain't going down? You know, there are grants out there to help install these charging stations in municipal buildings, and there's a lot of things we could be doing. And certainly when we buy cars that, you know, have enough range, I mean, I think some of these are approaching 300, which is the same as a gas power vehicle. We really should consider, you know, when we're purchasing new vehicles, that we should go electric and save us all a lot of money. So consider doing some of these grants that will put in an electric charging station here at Town Hall. And at the very least, for the people who work like in construction or some of these other offices, they certainly could be driving around in electric vehicles, and even some of the public works trucks. If you don't go over 300 or whatever the range anxiety is, and you can charge it every night.
Do you know, I'm just for your own information, a $12,000 lawnmower and battery powered is $44,000, the same size lawnmower.
Yeah, I have an electric powered lawnmower, and it's actually huge. It's a commercial size electric lawnmower that I bought years ago for, I believe I paid $6,000. It's still in great working condition. Yeah, it does cost more, but in the end, you don't have to do oil changes. All you do is brakes and tires, you know. Stuff doesn't require the maintenance, and we're going to be stuck with this anyway, you know. It's coming. So we should be preparing for what's coming, because it's 2023, and within the next 10 years, you're not going to be able to buy gas-powered vehicles. Thank you.
Good evening, Chris Sayers, 184 Malaga Lake Boulevard. I wasn't planning on coming up here, but talking about bonds piqued my interest. So I'm sorry. Unfortunately, you're in the hot seat. What do you know our credit rating
We haven't done a bond rating yet this year.
this year? Do we have to do that before we get
Yes.
Okay, we do.
We will do a bond rating.
Wonderful. And that methodology, that whatever, do you know what firm we use for the bond rating, or is there just like a state?
No, usually
Like
it's
Fitch
either
or-
Standard & Poor's or Moody's.
Moody's.
normally.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. Will that be publicly available though? Once it's okay.
We
Wonderful.
don't plan on doing the bond till September, so it will be right before that.
Okay. Wonderful. And do we have any idea what the interest rates? What the municipal? Back when I studied this stuff in college, it was like really low. But I know the interest rate's gone up quite a bit
Our
since.
financial advisors have recommended doing the bond because the bond anticipation notes are actually higher, which are a little over 4.
Okay, 4.
So
Yeah.
we're hoping.
Back when I was doing it, it was like 2%, and that was even for
Yeah.
Philadelphia, which
Even
is
the last
not a good
couple
credit
years
rating.
were much lower.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate, but I understand that you need to do it. And, you know, capital bonds are certainly a good thing because, you know, you use a truck over a certain amount of years. It's good to pay for it over the same certain amount of years so that you constantly do it. I mean, the only thing I guess would be concerning is the fact that, like I believe Dave was saying, that the trucks, you know, we haven't amortized it over the past few years. So now we're buying a whole bunch, which unfortunately, you know, they're going to start breaking down around the same time because, you know, you're buying a whole bunch at the same time. But no, I just piqued my interest, so I just wanted to know those things. So thank you so much. Appreciate your information.
I get a motion to close public hearing on R15123.
Motion to close.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I get a motion to amend, can I get a motion for a resolution to amend the budget for DCA recommendation of 151A-23?
Make a motion for R151A-23.
Second.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Blaine?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Take a motion to adopt Resolution 151B to be the adoption of the 2022 Franklin Township budget with the DCA adjustments.
Motion for R151B.
Second.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Blaine?
So I have a problem with the budget and the amount of reserve and the increase in taxpayers, fixed budgets and inflation. So I'm no.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Absolutely. Take a motion for Resolution 15223 authorizing a refund for construction fees.
Motion for R15223.
Second.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Blaine?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Take a motion for Resolution 15323 authorizing a refund for construction fees.
Motion R153-23.
Second.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Blaine?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Robin, you do file that. Thing you file.
Go work on this.
You asked. I didn't want to forget you.
That's okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice job. Make a motion to approve Resolution 15423 authorizing a refund for construction fees.
Make a motion for R15423.
Second.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Blaine?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Make a motion for Resolution 15523 appointing a public defender for the Township of Franklin. Joint municipal quote for the year 2023 pursuant to local public contract law, NJSA 48-11-1.
Make a motion for R15523.
Second.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Blaine?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Resolution 15623, amending agreement with Sourcewell for enterprise fleet management regarding existing police fleet.
Make a motion for R15623.
Second.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Blaine?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Resolution 15723, designating the appointment of Christina Mulford as deputy registrar and Jennifer Serena as alternate registrar and confirming said appointments. We're done. This time it's done.
Make a motion for R15723.
Third period. End of the third period. Done that.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Blaine?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Resolution 15823, appointing Candace Delancey to full-time administrator assistant due to retirement of Nancy Romero.
Make a motion for R15823.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Blaine?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Resolution 16023, authorizing administrator to sign a contract for the chief of police with Matthew Silva.
Make a motion for R16023.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Blaine?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Resolution 16123, authorizing a refund for construction fees.
Make a motion for R16123.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Blaine?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Matt, what is this? These are solar people that change their mind or something?
Yes, yes, so we have to do each one individually because it's by lot and block for each, permit, and I guess there's come issue with one of the solar companies.
Oh, okay.
So we had a few people come forward and say they want it out.
All right. Resolution 16223, authorizing the execution of the amended and restated redevelopment agreement for property located on US Route 40 and known as Block 6805, Lot 11, Block 6805.01, Lot 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Make a motion for R16223.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Blaine?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Resolution 16323, authorizing tax collector to grant tax exemption for a totally disabled veteran.
Make a motion for R16323.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Blaine?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Resolution 16423, amending resolution 111-23, authorizing the tax collector to grant tax exemption for a totally disabled veteran.
Make a motion for R 164-23.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Resolution 16523, amending resolution 14123 by increasing duties for administrative intern.
Make a motion for R 165-23.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Resolution 16623, granting renewal of liquor license within the Township of Franklin for 2023, 2024.
Make a motion for R 166-23.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Taking a motion for the introduction of the following ordinance, the public hearing on these will be August 8, 2023. It will be ordinance 1023, privately owned salt storage. Ordinance 1123, tree removal replacement. Ordinance 1223, bond ordinance providing for various 2023 general capital improvements by and in the Township of Franklin in the County of Gloucester, State of New Jersey, approximating $1.84 million thereafter, and authorizing the issuance of $1,713,800 bonds or notes to finance part of cost thereof. Ordinance 1323, supplementing Chapter 138 entitled Affordable Housing by adding Section 138-11 entitled Affordable Housing Regulations of the Code of the Township of Franklin to address the requirements of the Fair Housing Act, Uniform Housing Affordability Controls, and the Township Affordable Housing Obligations. Ordinance 1423, amending Chapter 253, Land Development to establish inclusionary affordable housing overlay zones. Ordinance 1523, replacing Chapter 138, Affordable Housing, Article 1, Development Fees of the Code of the Township of Franklin. Ordinance 1623, amending the Planning Board and Zoning Board checklist to address the requirement of a settlement agreement and order entered in the case of IMO Township of Franklin, Gloucester L 901-15, addressing the township's affordable housing obligations.
I'd like to make a motion for the introduction of ordinances 010-23 through 016-23 individually, none as a block.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion to open the second public portion for any comments?
You moved it individually, so we need to have a roll call on each one. That was the intent.
Well, because we don't want to approve
Yeah.
them all as a,
I understand that the motion made requires a separate vote on each one. Can you change the motion?
So I'll go down and just take a roll call, right?
You're gonna have
Not
to
a
take,
roll call, but just
you're gonna have to take, you're gonna have to take an individual roll call on each ordinance for the record. It could have been done by now.
it's okay. It's easy. So go through each
Roll call
one.
and
You introduce.
All right, can I get a motion to introduce 01023?
Motion to introduce 010-23.
Mr. Doyle? Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Can I get a motion for ordinance 1123?
Motion for 011-23.
Mr. Doyle? Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Ordinance 1223? Can I get a motion?
012-23.
Mr. Doyle? Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Can I get a motion for ordinance 1323?
Make motion for 013-23.
Mr. Doyle? Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Can I get a motion for ordinance 1423?
Motion for 014-23.
Mr. Doyle? Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Can I get a motion for ordinance 1523?
Make motion for 015-23.
Mr. Doyle? Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. And can I get a motion for ordinance 1623?
Make motion for 016-23.
Second.
Mr. Doyle? Mrs. Blaine?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes. Can I get a motion to open the second public portion for any comments?
Make a motion for a second public portion.
Real quick, I promise. Nancy Kennedy, 711 St. George Street. It can be easy to focus on the negative and not the positive. And I did just want to take a minute and thank Mr. Lyons. He has always been incredibly professional and responsive when I've reached out to him as a resident. So I did want to say thank you. And then also, I'm sure because I used to be the administrator and I have so much knowledge as the former administrator, certain employees can act unprofessionally and treat me differently. And that's unfortunate. But then there are a few who really step up and do a nice job, as hard as it might be for them at times. Specifically, I wanted to thank Mr. Nicholson and Ms. Tiziak. I made an error regarding my trash one week, and they went out of their way to see if it could be fixed. And when it could be fixed, they took care of it very, very graciously. So I did just want to take a minute and thank them. Thank you very much.
Next time on the
Good evening again.
Good evening again.
I know we're having the land sale with the auction, but there was mention of selling undersized lots. Are we selling any undersized lots?
That would be separate, right?
Yeah, I know, but are we?
Not as of right now.
Okay, well, can the public be made aware when we do, before that, of what lots the town is divesting themselves of? And when you offer a lot to a neighbor, if there's more than one,
Everybody has to get it.
okay, that was my question.
All contiguous.
All contiguous,
Now-
including people outside the township.
Okay, well, if there's a paper street that doesn't exist, is that considered contiguous?
We'll address that, and we're gonna get through the list.
Okay,
I'm not gonna, there's so many issues we have to
Yeah.
to work
sort
out?
through. Yes.
Okay, and when you consider something undersized, is the intent of undersized that they wouldn't be buildable?
Yes.
Okay, so when you look at our land use, I believe I sent it to Mr. Keene. There are some exceptions that allow buildability of lots as small as 0.45 acres, as long as they have 100 feet of frontage. So you wouldn't sell those as undersized, would you?
We would only sell if it's undersized.
Correct.
Again, we need to go through a comprehensive review so that every lot is eligible to be sold as an undersized sale will be on that list if chosen. And if they are of size,
Right.
that's a different process, and we're gonna revisit that also.
Mr. Farabella has the entire list of everything that we believe is possibly undersized, but could be developable. So he is gonna formulate an entire plan. Mr. Keene and I have been in communication about it to talk about how we're gonna do. He even suggested possibly some of the ones that are neighboring to each other that are undersized that we own, possibly having them combined to make one buildable lot, so.
Yeah, it's all governed by statute.
Yeah.
Right.
We have a list, we have separate categories that we deal with.
There's 400 properties that we need to address,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, I mean, I was just making sure that you're aware of everything I gave to Mr. Keene in that email, that you can't just go by, oh, well, in this zone you have to have an acre and a half. It's more complicated than that. You have to look at the entire land use code and all the ordinances and figure out where the loopholes are, because they're there. So that was a concern. And I'm glad that you'll be combining some of the lots that are undersized, because I think that's better for selling them to begin with. So that's really appreciated.
And you were bringing up the last meeting about the Rossi list.
Yes.
The one property that was on there.
Yes.
It actually is not on the Rossi list.
Well,
I spoke with.
yeah, I'm aware. I know what the status is. The status is that we have passed a resolution to put it on the Rossi. It was given to the Green Acres to become part of the Rossi and approved by them to be included. But until we start drawing funds for the grant, we still have an opening there to either add or change.
All those resolutions from 18 and 19 were never sent to Green Acres. Green Acres has no record of them.
Well, they may not have the resolutions, but they're on the Rossi list that they have.
We're in the process of reviewing them to see if there is additional diligence required. I think at this point, there'll be an update as to that status, but there is work to be done. At the very least, there's work to be done on our part. And there may be concerns, there may be things that need to be readdressed. So at this point, there are issues that have to be dealt with.
Okay,
in
well.
order to affect some of those situations.
Yeah, because the Rossi form was something that I filled out myself and gave it to Jim Winkowski of CMA, who made the maps to give it to the Green Acres folks. And certainly all those lots that were, resolutions were passed to include them, were included in that, and that was forwarded to Green Acres. So all those lots should be
Well, again,
on Green Acres list.
correct.
Yeah?
Correct. And we're not here to assess it, other than
Right.
to say that we're looking at it, and it's not up to us to say what, at this point, what's on the Rossi list. They're telling us what has and has not been properly perfected in that list.
Right.
And if there are things, and whatever that end result will be at the discretion of the governing body to take further action. But there are absolute infirmities at this point. There are issues.
Right. Well, would you have to reverse the resolutions that were passed? If you weren't
Again,
included?
we may be required to take additional action. I don't want to speak in absolutes
Okay.
when we don't have a definitive position, but there may absolutely be additional action by the governing body required. That's fair to say.
Okay, so that would be action that would be at a hearing like this?
Oh, yeah, it would have to be formal public action.
Everything is done.
Yeah, formal
Yeah,
public
I mean,
action.
that's something that, I would want to know what our status is with all of that. And I really appreciate the fact that we were moving forward with the Green Acres grant. And hopefully on Friday, when it's heard before the Pinelands Commission, they'll give us the final okay. And we can move on to the bid package and getting that to you guys, and maybe at the next meeting, you'll be able to vote on getting this moving. So that'll be a great day. Thank you for that. Yeah, take care.
Committee reports?
Not done yet.
Nope, hold on.
As a lot of you know, I've been trying to get the dollar store situation addressed and working with Mr. Finley. As of today, we had a conversation that it looks like there's going to be some progress there, unfortunately, for them not doing what they should be, and they're going to be held accountable, which is, thank you for your diligence on that. I appreciate it. Thank you for also getting the fence, which I know you were part of that too, over there in Heritage Hills, to keep the kids safe in that area. I appreciate that also. I know you still got work to do with the drainage ponds and all that, but at least the kids aren't going to get in there now.
Right,
No.
we're still, we sent everything to the DOT for the intersection.
Right.
That's also,
Right.
it's, we've sent emails, they'll look into it, they'll have their traffic people go out there and look at it.
Right.
We've done what we can. I do have to say that Dollar General, the girl who's the manager there is honestly trying. The one day I made a pop over there to check and see what the progress was, she was out sweeping the parking lot and had one of her workers on their hands and knees in the dumpster picking stuff up. But the disconnect is above her in their food chain, so that's, we've gone to the next level because she's done everything she can and she has all the proof that she's turned over to us to show that she's tried.
Now, once that, at this point, goes through the court side or wherever it's going to go, on that side, who decides the fees, the fines?
The judge.
Okay.
And the judge can give them time to make amends, and then we go back out there and it becomes a second offense, third offense, and such.
Is there any way I can contact the judge or be there at that point?
You can come to the court.
Public
Okay.
hearing.
Yeah.
I'm just asking. I don't know what's.
It's called a court case, yeah.
Right.
So I mean, if you want me to let you know, I have your email. I'll
Yeah,
let you know
please.
when it's scheduled.
Yeah, if I can, I'd like to be there for it. I mean,
It'll be on a Thursday.
I mean, it's
unless they deem a trial, which is going to be on a Friday.
right, depending on what
But
happens.
I'll let you know, but it's usually on a Thursday afternoon, and it'll probably be 3 o'clock.
I mean, because they've had it, as you know, it's been since the beginning of the year,
No, I know.
and then they haven't done a thing. So I'm hoping that whatever levies are against them are firm and sets a good example for this township for the rest of the businesses that don't keep up with it.
Well, it was interesting to talk to the manager because she's been there a while and she has a stack of stuff complaining about it. And maybe
Right.
listen to her and she's their employee.
Right. Oh, I know. So this isn't just our town issue. This is what happens when you let this type of business in, which I know was before your time, but I mean, this is our chance to make enough an example, hopefully to fix some of it.
Well, she has safety issues with her employees.
Right. Oh, I'm sure. With the way that parking lot is, I'm sure. I mean, that's horrendous. I do have a question in reference to Code 253, and I believe it was 180, in reference to political signs not being removed. There's some different things that I see going on, and the reason I'm asking this is obviously we've got, and I'm not to pick on you, but it's just, Mr. Doyle, this is in reference to that. We have 3 big billboards that are still up, that are well after 10 days after the election. So what's going on with removal? What kind of fines get levied? Can we use that money that's fined to maybe clean up Malaga Park? I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there. I mean, you can shake your head all you want, but they weren't removed.
I can't remove them on private property, I don't know.
All right, then how'd they get there? How did they get there?
I wrote a check and paid somebody to put them up.
All right.
It's a publicly traded company, it's CBS.
Okay.
So if you want to call, we called them and told them they had to take them down. If you notice those ones that are up for years, working in the shop.
Well, I'm not worried about those. I'm worried about the ones from this last primary. Oh, that's what I'm asking. So what's getting done about it? I mean, at this point, I mean, they're up, they're considered permanent, which is against the ordinance anyway. They're over 32 square feet, which is only 6 by 6, so that was illegal. So I'm just asking, what's being done? All right, well, I appreciate that. Like I said, we got to get things straightened out. If it doesn't happen from a board member doing something that's not right, it's not going to happen from a township or a business. Everybody should be held accountable. And I don't know if you had a chance to, and this is more of a compliment to Mr. Lyons, I appreciate having a good legal counsel. I obviously sitting up here, I don't understand everything that you go through, but you seem like you do have the interest of the board and the township, at least most of the times that I hear you talk, from what I can glean of it. I appreciate that. The last planning board meeting, there was some things that went on that were extremely unprofessional through the solicitor side and some other areas that really, as a committee, should be looked into. I'm not going to sit there and slander anybody or point anything out, but I mean, it was an ugly meeting. And just, it does not represent the township well for the way things were done. So just giving you a heads up, I don't know how that falls, because I know, as you said, Mary, you're not beholden to any other board. Well, I think those boards are beholden to the voters and to this board here, if I'm not mistaken. So just definitely something that needs to be addressed so we can hopefully get some positive improvement in that direction too. Thank you.
A motion to, I get a motion to close the second public portion.
Make motion to close the second public portion.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
In lieu of committee report for everybody, speak on behalf of the committee, we wish to congratulate Chief Matthew Cesare for his promotion. We all collectively feel Matt will do a great job, continue to do a great job. Just a different firm. Hopefully he does a great job. He's going to get flack. Maybe that won't happen. He will. But we wish him congratulations. And can I get a motion to adjourn?
I had stuff I wanted to say.
That's it? Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I'd like to congratulate Officer Wilson Unto and Telly, as well as Detective Allison, on their appointments, on their Police Officer of the Month, as well as the library finishing up with their grant and adding signs to it outside. Public Works, thank you for tirelessly working in the last 2 days of all the mishaps and trials and tribulations that they've had to go through. I also want to say congratulations to the police officers that worked the police camp with the youth. They did a great job. Thank you. Yes, that's it. I did my job.
I want to congratulate Nancy Romeo on her retirement, wish her well. Environmental Commission met, just want to make sure that those comments were passed along, that were received. And yes, it's good. EDC did not meet. Communications meets tomorrow. We found a small discrepancy in our analytics, but luckily we didn't launch yet, so we're still working on the website redesign. And I spoke with the CFO, our audit begins next week, so I will be in the exit conference for that audit. And I did let them know that I want the Rome property deal to be in scope of the audit for accounting considerations, estimate considerations, and footnote considerations.
Said my piece, so can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All those